Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Racing Line, a Formula 1 podcast by fans for fans. We are into the trilogy of races. This is a beautiful time of year. It's a beautiful time of year where we get the three in a row, three on the trot, and we started off with the Spanish Grand Prix, which, in my opinion, is usually one of the worst Grand Prix of the year. However, I felt like it brought a little bit of spark. Tristan, what do you think of the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona?
Mates. Welcome back. Hello, listeners. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah,
We're a day late. We're a day late.
We are a day late.
Yeah, it was great. Nice to be back. Nice to be back in. You're right. Not really one that sort of... I don't earmark Spain in the calendar ever.
No.
Because it really is... Well, most of the time, historically, it's been a bit of a glorified test. But,
yeah.
However, last week, not the case.
It brought on the goods, didn't it?
Six potential winners at one stage, I felt, across the weekend.
Yeah. Go on, give me a race ranking there.
The race ranking, it's a tricky one this week because we pumped up last week, 9s, 9.5s across the board.
We're in
we
that
reserved
territory.
our 10, we said, unless
your name's Adam Hughes.
Well, yes, very true. I look forward to hearing from Adam this week. I think I'm going to go on 8. Didn't quite have the heights and the excitement of last week.
Yep.
Qualifying did.
Yep.
Qualifying. If I'm going to give a quali out of 10, quali was a 9 out of 10. That was an electric session.
I think I'm comfortable with an 8.
Yes,
but I tell you what, it's pushing 8.5, isn't it?
It is. So I'll go on 8. I'll go on 8 because I still want to reserve the 10.
Yeah.
It's still got to live there. So
tell me, this is a question that we've brought back up recently.
Yes.
Who has the pace at the moment?
At the moment.
Because I tell you, going into Monaco, I think we were both nearly in agreement that Ferrari could potentially have the pace. Were we thinking that they might have been, and this is coming into Monaco, not going off Monaco.
Yep.
Are we thinking that Ferrari were the team that maybe for the first time have overtaken Ferrari?
I think so.
But that's just disappeared, hasn't it?
It's been such an ebb and flow season. Let's talk 2 months ago where we're sitting here.
Yep.
Alpine are a second and a half off the pace. We're laughing at them, thinking, far out, what are you doing?
Yep.
Today, they're a double points finisher. We've got Max, who is winning by 30 seconds, 29.5 seconds, over a minute.
At the start
literally
of the season.
Walking away with it, and we're thinking,
season,
how many in a row will he win? Now, suddenly, maximum pressure. We had Mercedes, who were battling away with Aston, and there were question marks as to whether they were behind or in front. New front wing on, couple of upgrades, up they go. Aston, they're battling RBs. It's been incredible. It's been incredible. And you're right, only a handful of weeks ago, we were in Monaco, round before, and we're saying, Ferrari are in a bit, and they're on it, and, we were reserving our judgment on them, and then they came good, and then now suddenly, where have they gone? Have they gone anywhere? Has everyone got in front of them? Red Bull will be sitting there thinking, thank God we've got Max. Yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster response to the question.
I was going to say that you've by no means even gone close to answering my question.
I haven't come close to answering the question.
But that is exactly summing it up beautifully.
It's a week by week. It's a session by session.
Go on,
just different. All right, I'll give you my running order.
Put your neck on the line.
All right, McLaren.
Fastest?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, McLaren.
Yep.
It's Max. It's not Red Bull. It's literally Max.
Is it McLaren, though, or is it Norris?
No, it's McLaren.
Okay.
It's McLaren because Oscar's there, but he's not as polished as Norris.
Yep.
So, no, it's not Norris.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, putting my neck out there. So, it's McLaren. Then it's Max. It's Max's RB.
It's Red Bull.
It's Max. Yep. It's Max's. It's not Checo's.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Checo's on holidays now. He gets his contract.
Yep.
And then, it's probably Mercedes.
Sorry, Mercedes.
It's probably.
Say it. Sorry, Mercedes.
No, I'm not.
You bagged them out more than anyone.
No. It's an honest response to that. It's probably Mercedes.
Wow.
And then it might just be Ferrari after that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the Civil War at Ferrari kicking off? Maybe it is.
Civil War?
Maybe. And then, well, here's a question without notice. So then who are the next two? Who are the next two? I mean, the first...
It was RB.
It was?
Wasn't it? Well, no, probably. It was probably still Aston. It was Aston.
But is it
And
now?
then it was RB.
But is it now Alpine?
Goodness.
Maybe?
From the back
I
to the front. I'll tell you one thing I'm sure of.
I'm sure of it's not Aston.
Kick Sauber are still down the bottom. But not that far.
And Williams is still last.
Well, yeah, sort of.
They are still last.
But they weren't. Suck. Well, they did, but they weren't.
Yeah, and then they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
like, we've just made that sound incredibly complicated, which is exactly the situation where they're in.
But that's how it is.
To add the extra complication, this is the part that sort of baffles me more than any of that. Like, all that is fantastic. All that spells great season.
Yep.
Great news.
Yep.
The part that really concerns me is, like, the Spanish Grand Prix, Barcelona, is supposed to be like the measuring stick because it's the place where all the testing's been done in the past.
Yep.
Teams know that place inside out.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be the yardstick for everybody to go and compare their cars to where they're at. And it has thrown up some of the strangest results of the season so far.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost Monaco-esque. Because when we saw all these trends starting to kick in, Barcelona's gone and kicked them out a little bit. And it's confused the whole thing. And so, it's a really interesting time of the season. I'm so intrigued with these next three races, or with the next two races.
Yeah.
Because I think we'll find out more. I think we'll find out more at Silverstone, which is quite similar to Barcelona. It's all about holding on to those tyres, and I think the tyres are a big thing here.
Oh, I think so too. High deg.
I think we'll find out a little bit at Austria. And then, but then I think, we're going to find out quite a bit. So, it's like strap yourself in. Good luck trying to make a bet on Formula 1 at the moment. If we had beyond the bet, I reckon Watson would be in all sorts of trouble at the moment, like he usually was anyway. But, it's one that you just can't predict, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's exciting that we've got this continual development war, sort of mid-early 2000s where, that was the way that you made your way through the field, is through your R&D, and we haven't seen that for a very long time.
This is something I was supposed to bring up last week.
Sure.
Should we start the petition
of?
Let's not bring in the new regulations in 2026.
We talked about this.
Not enough. I don't think we haven't brought it up enough. Should we start the petition?
Should we
start the movement of delay 2026? Because we're going to need it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then, with the last regulations, they got delayed, and they got delayed, and they got delayed. Yep. And we were crying out for the regs to come in because we needed something new at that point. And then when they finally came in, that was the season that, before was the season that we didn't want them to come in.
Yeah, yeah.
We're getting the seasons we want at the moment. Let's not throw it out. A year and a half to go. So let's delay. I'm not saying scrap, because that's a lot of money going down the drain for a lot of teams.
It is, you're right.
Let's delay. Let's delay to 2028. Or maybe have it on standby. During 2026, you make the call. Early 2026, see what happens next season.
Yeah.
Do we want it this season, or do we want to wait until the next season?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but my goodness, Formula 1 is magnificent.
Formula
1's magnificent again.
We're in a great place. We're in a terrific place.
We've got all the goodies tonight. We're going to go through the race. F1.5, fantasy. I haven't looked at fantasy actually.
I haven't backed this week. So all is right with the world. Is
an extra amount of arrogance.
It's just it's just calmness. It's just happiness.
Oh, that's good.
Just say we've set the tone early for the episode. I talk about this every week. The opening 5 minutes
settled.
Yeah, it's very measured. Measured.
Oh, well, let's see if we can throw that off. Opening question comes from Sam, and it's stolen, actually, out of his Fan Frenzy question. But he gave an extra question.
Oh, right. I was going to say, I feel like he's seen someone else's question and claiming it.
No. He gave an extra question. I'm going to use it.
Good.
So, if you could get your hands on a helicopter, and you could follow the race from a helicopter.
Been in a helicopter before.
Okay. So if you could get your hands on a helicopter, I got students like that will just tell me random facts just because I bring something up.
But I have. I'll tell you my helicopter story after.
It's like you bring up an analogy about a lemon tree, and this kid puts their hand up, and say, "I've got a lemon tree." Mate, I don't give a damn.
Fair response.
And so if you could fly the helicopter and view the race, the whole race from the helicopter, and go to and from the track in the helicopter,
Yeah.
which is your track that you think most benefits a helicopter?
I feel like it would be somewhere like Jeddah, because it would be not one that I would adore walking or making my way around.
I don't mind that move.
Just practical. I'm thinking practicalities here.
Yeah, it's not one that you want to be sitting around.
No, do you want to make your way to turn 19 at Jeddah from turn 4? Not really.
It's a big, long track.
It's a long walk in the desert.
There's no shortcuts.
No, take a drive.
I don't mind that. That's not the angle I was coming from.
No, we're very different
I like
creatures.
that, yeah. Yeah, probably the problem is in the dark and you can't actually tell which car will be which, but anyway.
No, it'd be night time. You'd see it from the track. It'd be lit.
It'd be tricky.
It'd be good.
Be tricky.
You don't walk in the dark in the desert.
Well, not exactly in the desert. It's in a city. But yeah, I like it. I like the different angle. I wasn't trying to pick on it.
No,
and yeah, so I was going down the track. Because I love the views where you fly behind the cars in the helicopter and follow them around.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect. And so it's like, what track would allow for that? And like Spa straight away, big long track, lots of long sweeping bends through the forest. It'd be cool to follow the cars in the helicopter.
Yep.
Around the track.
Yep.
And then the problem with that, though, is that would get really old pretty quick, I think. Well, it'd be cool.
Okay.
But I can imagine I'm going to get, sick pretty quick flying along in these helicopters, chasing cars.
Okay, fair.
So then I got thinking, I want a compact circuit so I can do a little bit of that. But then when I get sick of it, we just hover above the circuit.
Oh, okay.
And I can sit and watch the race from above. And so a nice compact circuit allows me to see so much, see where all the cars are at any one time. I don't have to be so high that I can't see with my old age coming up. And so I think...
Oh, my God, I know.
Yeah. So I think Brazil is the place to be.
Yep.
Brazil would be a great spot to watch the race from a height, not too high. You're going to be able to take it all in. And the benefit of being in Brazil is you can't get carjacked from a helicopter. And you know how it's a safety concern getting to and from the track as a tourist, as a driver, as a team.
If you go to Mexico or
quite
Brazil,
often,
I guess,
quite often they get carjacked on the way in. If security is an issue, I'm not having that problem.
Okay.
And so I think Brazil's the perfect circuit.
You're a smart man with things like that.
Thank you very much, Sam.
I'll tell you a helicopter story really quickly. Because I have been in a helicopter. Have you been in a helicopter before?
I haven't, actually.
Oh, you love it. So
I would like it.
Not that long ago. It was about 5 years ago. And did a helicopter flight tour with my lovely other half across the 12 Apostles along the Great Ocean Road.
Lovely.
Which is about 15, 20 minutes. And so we turn up to the flights, and here in the hangars, for a better word, and just out on the grass, you got three types of choppers, right?
Yep.
So you got two huge, enormous red ones. They would seat about 8 people. They look awesome. It looks really big, lots of room.
Sturdy.
Fabulous, sturdy. Like if it's a car dealership, you're like, I think that's the one I'm looking for. And then over to the side was this little tiny, how do I describe it? Like a little millionaire chopper. Like, it's just a little 1 or 2 seater. It's got some little floaty devices
just
on.
A millionaire.
Just a millionaire. Little tiny one. It was black. It was sleek. I was like,
okay.
Oh, that looks fun.
Okay.
Like, that's fun. Yep. So, Anyway, and so we turn up, and she says, we better not be getting in that one over there, as she points to the little black one. And I'm like, no, I'm sure they won't. These two are at the front, that's over at the back. And then sure enough, we go get over.
Heading over.
And we're walking over, and we walk past the big red one that looks super safe and super luxurious, and we make a little detour up to the black on the front. And I was like, this is not great. Anyway, so for the entire time, I reckon to this day, there are finger indentations in the steel bar across the back. She held onto that bar for dear life.
So much
and her
fun.
hair, white white knuckled. And then the lovely pilot. I sat in the front. I was like, "Great time of my life." I'm like, "This is awesome. This is so good." Sitting in the front, look at everything, and she's trying to have conversation, and no conversation is coming from the back. And it was just, when is this over? But I reckon there's a chopper in
Outstanding.
Ocean Grove area of Victoria that has
Nail marks.
actual current nail marks in a steel black bar because, she held on for dear life. Anyway, I had a great time.
Was it beautiful?
Oh, it was awesome. It was so good. I'd do it again. Absolutely. My little man would do it with me.
Would you do hot air ballooning?
No.
It's an interesting one. I would.
No.
But the lack of control alarms me and excites me in equal proportions.
I think it's more like if you crash, at least in a helicopter, you've got some sort of shell around you.
Oh, I don't think the shell's doing it.
Look, I don't either. But then if you crash in a hot air balloon, I mean, like, the basket's going to beat you.
I feel like you can tumble out
to the ground.
I feel like you can tumble out of a basket.
Yeah, of course you can. It's just
whereas no, in a good way. Like if you're coming down, you come down at a slower rate. The basket hits the ground. You tumble out into a nice grassy field, and you're all good. If you crash in a helicopter, you got a shell, but there's blades.
But like if you
ready to decapitate you.
Like, you've got to make sure if you're tumbling out of a hot air balloon, you don't want to be tumbling out too high.
We better talk Formula 1.
Oh, I'm getting anxiety thinking about it.
We better talk... Good luck sleeping. We better talk Formula 1.
Okay.
Because it was a great race. Qualifying. We did see a great qualifying session.
Yeah, we did.
Who knew who was going to win at any one time?
Yes.
And I like that about Formula 1 at the moment.
Yeah, me too.
It's something that Formula 1 needed. Max was a fair way down going into qualifying. This seems like a typical story. Yeah. He and Norris managed to shake off the others and get a bit of a gap to the others. However, he couldn't quite manage to get past Norris in the end.
Yep.
And yeah, they were super close, but Norris managed to get the job done. I think it was maybe 200ths of a second or something like that. I think
it was.
Yep.
Lando Norris's Q3 time was a 1:11.383.
Yep.
And just pipped Max by 200ths.
Yep.
1:11.403. So,
and I think they were 0.3 up from everyone else. So they managed to provide that gap, gather that gap. But yeah, Norris and Verstappen all by themselves out the front there.
Max had a half a second gain from Q2 to Q3. He was a 1:11.8 for Q2, where Max was still that quarter of a second up. So the Q2s were going pretty well. Even George's time in Q2. I know he finished in fourth, but George's time was a 1:11.8. Sainz's time was a 1:11.8 in Q2 as well. So they certainly, Lando wasn't leading the way in Q2 by any means.
Yep.
But yeah, so really great gains, and just one of the best qualifying laps he said of his career. And it kind of had to be too, because Max with an 11.4 is tremendously good too. So yeah, so a lot of positives there in terms of the qualifying, and a very, very different show. Even Oscar's, a 12.11 was still quicker than Gasly's, was still quicker than Perez, was still quicker than Charles as well. So Oscar, very unlucky in his qualifying run. I feel like he would have left quali.
Tell me more about him being unlucky when he drives off the track.
Yeah, but it was just that. Like the lap was really solid right up until that sort of lead into the second.
I had this conversation with somebody else. It was, but it was also really solid in his first run, and it dropped away in that last sector. It was like that all the way through. This was a very obvious Oscar hasn't got the tyres sorted thing yet.
Yeah. That's okay,
and this track, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
The man's in his second year of racing, and he's competitive as all get out, and when the tyres don't mean as much, he's fine.
Yep.
It will come to him. Norris, we certainly weren't talking about Norris like this in his second year of racing.
No.
We don't talk about most people like that in the second year of racing. And tyre management is a fine art. It's a dark art. And the reason for that is it changes at all sorts of different circuits. And this circuit, you just rely on those tyres in that last sector so much, and you can use up so much more of them. And I think they probably got the tyre choices right, because it meant that there was a real skill to sort of managing them.
I thought so too.
As much as we hate talking about tyres.
It was a surprise not to see Valtteri up there. His strength is a green track. And with, I think, a little bit of resurfacing that happened across the months leading into it, I really thought that he was going to be that surprise packet in Q3.
Yep.
He was thereabouts in Q2, but yeah, I expected a little bit more of him, which I don't think I can't think in the last few weeks that I'd be sitting here saying that I expected a little bit more from Valtteri. But we know that's his strength is a super green track, which I thought is what we sort of had in the opening parts of qualifying too. So yeah, and the RBs, we talked about the RBs. Was it a case of Was it a case of speed wasn't there for the RBs, or was this a throwaway weekend?
You're getting into the episode.
I know, I'm just saying, because it reared its head very early in qualifying.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
What was it?
It is, I don't understand the updates we've brought enough to make the most of them. And it is challenging. We saw Ferrari in the exact same situation. However, Ferrari have so many more people that are ready to take this on.
Yep.
But Ferrari didn't understand their updates when they first brought them perfectly. And so we saw them not quite where they wanted to be.
Yep.
In this situation, they don't have they've brought the updates. They're confident they can make them happen, but bringing them from the CFD, bringing them from the wind tunnel, and bringing them from the design rooms to the track just takes a little bit. It's very unusual that teams grab an update and fly with it. I tell you who's great at it is McLaren.
Yeah.
They're very good at it. Even Red Bull.
Oh, yeah.
Red Bull in the same bit situation. And so, it's just theirs was magnified. I think probably this track also isn't quite suiting them. So no, I'm not hitting panic stations.
It's funny because Spain shouldn't be a track that doesn't suit someone.
No, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. And if it is the case that Spain isn't suiting you,
but it still is the case.
But that's alarm bells ringing, because there's so many characteristics of Spain that we know flow into other circuits.
I think that used to be the case. I feel like not enough credit's been given to this update of the track with the new layout, or the old new layout.
The old new layout with the update of
and I think that's causing more confusion for more teams than what was expected. I think tyre management is more important at Barcelona than what we usually get, and I think
last sector is going to be very, very similar to Austria this weekend with the removal of that chicane. So I think that's important. That's going to play an important part to see.
Yeah, it's a bit more slow. Yeah, don't know. I agree. I think this whole block is quite similar.
Yeah,
I think Silverstone, you're going to have to hold on to those tyres all the way through the lap.
The deg at Silverstone is going to be enormous.
Yeah, and so I think those sorts of places is going to be important. But I think a lot of it's down to I don't quite understand. They brought some significant upgrades.
They did.
And I think it's just, that's just
I just wonder if, because it reared its head so early in qualifying, that maybe they looked at the time and went, no, we're just going to park this because we need to understand it. Yuki made a really, really late stop in the race as well. And
all sorts of weird stops.
More data collecting. But it did. It just felt like in quality that they recognised it early.
I couldn't agree more.
No, let's put this to one side.
Well, we've got some work to do here. Yeah. Into the race, we had a Max Verstappen win, and we've been saying that for years now.
We have. We have been saying that.
And it hasn't been a straightforward win, which we've been saying for the last 5 weeks. However, we do say it quite a lot. Max, this wasn't a standard Max win. This was still a very hotly contested win. Max got the job done in the end. Red Bull got the strategy right in the end. However, it was very, very close.
Yeah, super close.
He drove really well. And that's pretty much what you say for Max, isn't it?
But that is exactly it. He drove beautifully well. I don't think he's getting enough credit for the weekend for how well he drove.
Yep.
Like, we're really not. I know it's
usual.
I know it's usual. And it's common, and it's what we've come to know in Formula One. But there are differences between the start of the season, which was a half a minute absolute cakewalk, to what is now a little bit of working and strategy and management, which is then resulting in award. And you gotta tip your hat to what happened on the weekend in a big way.
This wasn't a Max managing the result and just making it happen.
No, not at all.
He didn't win a race by 10 seconds, but really could have been 30 seconds if he wanted to push things.
Yeah.
He was pushing all the way through. Norris probably should have won the race. Agree?
No.
Disagree?
Disagree.
Okay.
I don't think there was any stage across the weekend where I looked at Lando and said, this is yours to lose.
No, I don't think
but that sort of goes into that.
Lose.
No, but I don't think he should. I don't think it was a guarantee that he should have won. Because really, we started Sunday...
I'm not arguing with guaranteed should have won.
No, I know. But even just, I don't feel that it's one that he should have won, that he's let slip.
3 seconds in the pit stops. Both pit stops, 3 second stops. Max was a 1.9 and a 2. So there's 2 seconds.
It's a very different...
The start.
It's a very different...
The start,
but yeah, I mean, he got mugged by George as well, so...
He got mugged by George because he focused on Max.
Yep. But then the slipstream straight down into
the strategy, he got stuck in traffic.
Nah. Nah.
It's for me,
Yep.
Norris should have won the race.
Okay.
If everything went his way, should have won the race. However, Red Bull are that polished machine that they just make the most of the opportunities they're presented. And unless you're able to do the exact same, you're not going to necessarily beat them unless you're a whole lot faster. And so he wasn't fast enough to be able to make up for just those little things. That start just cost him a lot. Well, sorry, the start cost him everything, really.
Yep.
He leads into turn 1, he wins the race. Would you agree with that?
No. Not at all.
Why?
Because George led into turn 1. And he didn't win.
Do you want... Yeah, but he's in a different car completely. George didn't keep the pace.
That Merc was great. Like Lewis was right up there. That Merc was very good. So, yeah, no.
By right up there, you mean 17 seconds behind?
No, practice-y led practice.
I understand in practice. But what I'm saying is Norris leads in that first corner, he wins the race.
No, I disagree.
Even if Max, and I think Max was slightly faster early in the race, it means he doesn't drop that far behind. He ends up behind 2 cars, which causes him all the drama in the world.
Yeah.
It means that they have to go for a slightly different strategy, which I love the way they went for that strategy. Mm-hmm. They just couldn't get around the traffic as quick as what they needed to, and that's where the race come undone. If he doesn't have to go for that extended strategy, the race doesn't quite come undone the same. And so, yeah, it was a great drive from Lando. Start cost him big time, and it just meant that the team had to push a little bit more on those strategies, and it just meant that you had to get through traffic. Mm-hmm. It wasn't quite the same. So, great battle. Ding-dong battle. I could watch these 2 race all day, and we just need a little bit of cleaning up. We see the same thing from McLaren last week. They just need to clean a few things up, and they're going to be right in it. If you want to beat Red Bull, you've got to get most things pretty much spot on, and you've got to have that good pace. And... yeah, I think teams are struggling with that a little bit at the moment. Talk about their teammates, Perez.
Where do we start?
Did he give a toe in qualifying?
Yes, he did.
Did he give it deliberately? They're denying it.
Yes and no.
Max got a toe.
Yes and no. Max got a toe.
That isn't in dispute.
But the team ensured the toe was available to get.
Yeah.
And Checo didn't openly put his hand up and say, I'm very happy to tow you down.
It was a coincidence, Max said.
It was a coincidence, yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy it. Because,
I
don't buy it either.
No, because, the 3-place penalty was still there. And, I mean, you very much would be a lot happier to take a 3-place grid penalty when you're second rather than be ninth. So it wasn't a 10. I can understand a 10. Where you go, okay, don't worry about it. Like, you finish in 10th, you're last anyway.
Yep.
So you might as well park it and save your tyres. I think such a minuscule grid place penalty that you still would have been wanting to work your way up there.
Yep.
I don't know. The talk of the front end not biting like he wants it to, which then leads itself back into the characteristics of what Max prefers in the RB. Comments around the throttle and the throttle application across the weekend, which the pit wall were very reluctant to discuss on air with him. Looks lost. Didn't have a great run of form coming in. Started the year very well. We recognise that. Second, third, second, whatever.
Yep.
Awesome. Had a couple of off weekends. Red Bull did what we kind of I thought was the right thing to do. Lock him away, because he hasn't been awful. We've had a bad stint. We've locked him away, and we've had 2 bad weekends.
Yep.
So, no, we look... Now, you could easily... I mean, quite happy to put my hand up and say he looks a bit lost at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know it's out of form. I'm not going to put it down to form. I think his form's still there, but he looks lost. Something's changed suddenly. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. And yes, we know the contract's been signed, and I don't think that's really got anything to do with it. I mean, fans would be questioning it. But yeah, he looks lost at the moment, so... And they need now, there's going to come a point over the next month where they need a rear gunner, and Max will need a rear gunner. There will be a tipping point in this championship where when you've got 2 McLarens in it, only 2 drivers to finish and complete every lap of the season. Did you know that? Every single lap of the season. When you've got 2 McLarens at you, you've got maybe 2 Mercedes at you, and there is a likelihood that you pretty frequently going to have two Ferraris. You might have one or the other on your odd or off days, but there's more likelihood that you're going to have both Ferraris there with you, and he can't do it alone. That tipping point has to come where he needs someone to be there, and he can't do it by himself.
Imagine if they could sign somebody else.
Yeah, like Yuki Tsunoda.
Ooh. Maybe. Yeah. No, it's... Yeah. Suffer. If you make the calls this early for the reason of... Yeah. Anyway, he's not necessarily locked into that seat, let's be honest. He's in the Red Bull family. That's all he's signed to do. Oscar Piastri was the other teammate of Norris that we need to mention. We talked about him struggling with tyres. I think that was pretty much it. Oscar himself said that this was the weekend where he had struggled across the weekend the most of his career.
Yeah. Which
is interesting. It's interesting to hear him say that. I think he'll be trying to understand that, and I'm hoping we'll see a better Oscar come this weekend and come the weekend after.
I'm not sure, yeah.
Well, I think that this block of learning will be... There's one thing you find out about Oscar, he does learn from these things really quickly. Yep. And so, you'll be hoping that he can learn in these new cars. But, it certainly wasn't the greatest weekend for him, finishing in 7th. Yeah, I mean, you're still able to beat Perez if you're finishing 7th. That's still not a bad effort. Lewis Hamilton was 3rd in this race. We haven't seen a Lewis podium for a little while.
We haven't. 18 seasons on the bounce with a podium.
Mm-hmm. 18
seasons on the bounce.
Did he get one last year, did he?
With a podium, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
There you go. I thought he missed that little thing last time. So he got the job done in qualifying against his teammate as well. And he came out not long ago and said that he wouldn't be able to out-qualify his teammate.
Yep.
And that, he was we thought he was winding down, and then we saw a little resurgence. Team's come alive. He's come alive. I think we're in for a decent second half of the season with him.
I think so too.
Mercedes have come out of the wilderness. They're back.
I'm not going to declare them back. I'm going to want to see. No, I'm going to want to see the end of the triple header before I put it on the line. They've made progress. Yes.
I think
so. Lots of people, but I'm not quite ready to declare them as back yet.
I think there's a clear top 4, and I think they're well and truly in it.
I think they're in it. They're in it. It's just
They're not quite winning yet.
No.
But, geez, it doesn't feel that far away anymore, does it?
Yeah.
But you're going to have to be good to get your wins now, because it's not just, if Max doesn't do everything right, there's a win for the taking.
Yeah.
It's Max, it's Norris, it's Hamilton, it's Russell, it's Leclerc, it's Sainz, it's Piastri. There is a long list of drivers ready to go and take that win if things don't go to plan for somebody.
That's fair.
And so, but it's good to see. Russell, pretty decent weekend as well.
I thought he had a really good weekend. I really did. He's been solid. And
there wasn't a huge... Sometimes we see there's a big difference between the two drivers. Yeah. There wasn't a big difference between them. For the first time in quite some time, they were close, but close in a competitive way. Sometimes we see them close because they drop back a bit.
Yep.
And they sort of find themselves in that no man's land between the fast teams and the slower teams. And it's just, they're both going to fall into that space because that's where their car is. But they were close in amongst the action, and I thought that that was a bit of a telling sign. And that's why I'm a bit more confident about them, because they were both in that stage. It wasn't just that a driver was having a unique race.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where that strategy so happened to come off. It's a solid race in terms of just getting things right. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, the Ferraris have dropped away. Anything to mention about either of them?
Not really. I don't know that they've dropped away as such. I think that the other three... Well, no, I think Red Bull might have hit their ceiling at the moment. That goes back to my conspiracy theory about Newey leaving, and then suddenly these are his upgrades. You can't be part of our tech meetings anymore, so now we don't know what to do because they're yours. That's my theory. I'm going to stick to my guns on that one for the remainder of the season, to be quite honest. McLaren have made gains. Mercedes have made gains. So I think this is Ferrari's performance that we've seen from the last month, but the other two have skipped ahead of them. So... I wouldn't say it's a backward step. It's a holding of stations.
Okay.
For a better word.
Yep. Okay. Anything to mention about either driver in particular or just team?
I think Leclerc's doing all right. I think Sainz is
Not going to Williams.
Sainz is getting angry.
He's not going to Williams because it was all, he's going to be announced for Williams. That's not locked on yet, is it?
I said this last week. Is there a chance that he's going nowhere? Like, we'll finish this episode and he'll announce where he is because that's what happens every single week. So. But it just, I don't know, there's just, why? I mean, he said, his quote after the weekend was, I'm sick of waiting. I want to make a decision. Well, then make one. Like, make one. And I mentioned last week that he was holding out for the Red Bull seat. Didn't happen. Mercedes have said, we don't want you. There's no seat at McLaren. He's lost his drive at Ferrari. So suddenly that wanton desire to say, I deserve a top seat, which he does. He's a race winner. He's an ex-Ferrari driver. He's a pole man as well. This is a quality driver that you would openly have in your team. Why? Is it a case of A, everyone wants him and he doesn't know where to go? B, is it a case that a couple want him and he doesn't want them? Or is it a case of C, that maybe no one actually wants him?
I think it's a case of A and B.
Yep.
I think lots of people want him, but he doesn't really want to go there.
Doesn't want them.
But I think there's also an element of this changing season. What's the best call to make? I go to Alpine?
It's not Williams.
Do I go to Alpine? Do I go to the team that is going to start up and they're going to pour all the money in? I'm going to go to Audi and I'm just going to see my time and just go there and I'm going to be their boy. It's going to be fantastic. Or do I go to Williams, which there's some nice things happening within that team, but geez, there's some time to be had before we can get there, and there's no guarantee that these nice things are going to turn into nice results.
No, because they're not doing what Alpine have done. Whereas Alpine were a second and a half, a lap in round one, and now they are a double points finisher.
Yep.
Williams were not a second and a half, a lap in round one back.
Yep.
They are still last.
Yep.
I don't know. There's something. There's something there as to why he hasn't been nabbed now.
I think he just wants to know. I think he wants to know more about the teams.
I just got a funny feeling.
While he wants to get it over and done with because he's sick of people talking about it, I think he just wants to see out some more time to find out. If you were Carlos Sainz, what's the choice you're making?
It's steak. It's Audi.
Yep.
I can't be wavered by that.
Yep.
I know Alpine have come to the party now, and the hiring of Flav is brilliant. Brilliant.
You're the only man I know that
he
thinks
is a
this
brilliant
way.
man. He is a brilliant man. He said to himself, his quote over the weekend is, Alpine are good at a lot of things, which they are, but they're not good at F1. And I think his quote is like, I'm good at F1. And he is. He is great at F1.
He used to be very good.
But you know what? Sometimes you need, and we've seen it with Fred Vasseur going to Ferrari, the old school hand and how important it is.
Fred Vasseur came as a team principal.
I know, but he's old school.
Yeah, but
he's old school. He's not a new boss.
He was in Formula 1.
He was in Formula 1. He's experienced. He's a little bit old school. He brings that sort of... there's no grey with him. It's black or it's white, and you can see how Ferrari have benefited from that. James Vowles is a little bit like that. I don't know. I feel like there's still a bit of grey with James Vowles as well. Toto is very black and white.
Yep.
It's just, it's this or it's this, and that's it. So is Christian Horner. And you've seen those team bosses that have left.
Christian Horner could talk himself around a merry-go-round.
But you've seen those team bosses that have left and how they're not that straight down the line old school. And not that Flav is a team boss, because he's not. But the experience that he has, he is incredibly knowledgeable. His connections within the Formula One world and community are incredibly strong. And there will be people that will be flooding towards Alpine just because of him. So I think it is a brilliant appointment. I think he's a lot to offer. You're the only person I've heard that speaks in volumes about this move. Now, someone came to us on socials over the weekend and said that we called it. I can't remember calling that last week, but I'll happily own it if we did.
It was me.
Well,
called
did you call it? Did you?
Nah.
No, I don't know where we. I can't remember mentioning it last week. Maybe it was just a throwaway line.
It's for me. For me, like the thing that Flavio Briatore seems to be really good at is about putting the right people in the right places at the right times,
And that's what Zach Brown said.
which is really, it's an important skill in Formula One.
Yep.
I'm not sure, and I could be wrong. I know he's still in management, but I'm just not sure that he's necessarily as influential as what he once was. I think Flavio Briatore was magnificent 15, 20 years ago.
Yep.
Where Formula One was a different world. It was a different world, and it's just, for me, it feels so Alpine this. Let's go and get a bunch of celebrities to make us important. Let's have a point to the team. No, that didn't work. No one gives a damn.
Yep.
So let's go and find somebody else who's going to make us important to the world of Formula One. Oh, man, who is it that's been quite an important figure in Formula One? Who's been controversial? Who's made some headlines in the past? Oh, Flavio Briatore. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited about this. This is great for us. For you and me, we're the winners in this.
Oh, yeah, we are.
I'm just not convinced that Alpine's going to be the winner. I don't know that he's going to have the same pull, the same drive, and quite know the same things that are going to be required to make things happen for that team.
Fair.
But I tell you, if there's one person who can make them worthwhile, maybe it is Flavio Briatore.
Maybe
this feels like a real last show at the stumps for me.
Yep.
But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. It's a really interesting one. I love it. I do love it, but I'm not sure it's going to really pay off. Gasly had a decent weekend. And
Alpine had a terrific weekend.
Well, which is what we've just been talking about.
Terrific weekend.
And so did Esteban Ocon. It's interesting that Pierre Gasly's been getting the results again. Since the move.
Since the comments.
The comments, Esteban Ocon being a naughty boy, Esteban Ocon deciding he's going to go to a different team. It's just interesting, isn't it, that all of a sudden Pierre Gasly's the one that's been getting the results again.
Yep.
Read into that what you will. Once again, Hulk, decent result for a Haas, just outside the points.
Yep.
And then, Aston Martin outside the points as well. But how's Fernando Alonso being overtaken by Haas, Alpine?
How's Aston in general? Just
it
is the anomaly in the sport. How can a team begin a year so well? I'm happy to say
Aston,
and now.
But how's this for Alonso? It's one thing for Aston to be overtaken by these teams.
Yep.
Fernando Alonso in Aston Martin. I tell you, the worst thing about this is the guy that I work with has this theory.
Oh yes.
You know Shane.
I do.
Everyone knows Shane.
We haven't heard from Shane this week.
No. I've been thinking about getting him on. I think it'd be a good clash.
A clash?
Yeah, I try, because I sort of talk up your rivalry with him a little bit.
Do we have a rivalry?
Yeah, I feel like I've developed one for you.
My legs are getting hot in this jacket, by the way.
Oh, wow. And his theory is that any car that Alonso gets in goes backwards across the season. And this is a typical Alonso season. And it's hard for me to argue with this season because his car has gone backwards again. He started on fire.
What about?
He made the most of it. But I tell you what, it's gone backwards. Give me an example in the last 10 years.
In 10 years?
Last 10 years.
11, 12, 14.
Went forward, did they?
Yes.
Went forward in terms of with the rest of the pack.
All Ferraris.
Yeah, I don't think they went forward.
He finished the championship. He lost the championship in Brazil in 11 by a handful of points.
But started it better than what he finished it.
Same in 12.
So what his go is, what his theory is he starts the season better than he finishes the season, Alonso. He can't develop the car.
It's not his job to develop the car.
Well, it definitely is part of this driver's job, is to give the feedback to make the car go faster. So it's interesting.
I think Aston are the anomaly because they create a chassis that is competitive, but then it is when we get to that point in the season where upgrades arrive, it goes backwards. Now that's 2 years in a row now, and we can't say that's you can't even point that at Lance either. I'm sure I'll find a way, but you can't because it just doesn't work. It's this, they had upgrades again on the weekend. It didn't work. It happened last season. The entire thing fell apart last season. We started last season going Max, Checo, Fernando for 20-odd weeks in a row. And then they thought, let's put these things on the car. And bang.
For some reason, Shane at work, his productivity is very high at the moment.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Don't know. It's weird. He's not very productive usually. And that suits me because I like hanging out with him. And I've been away, and that's why he's been. Yeah. Anyway, but your homework, Shane, is to give us the examples of all Alonso's seasons that have gone backwards. Because I'm interested. I've got some interest.
I'm not.
Anyone else you want to mention? Let's talk RB. They've gone backwards. Ricciardo had a decent race.
Ugh.
Decent race for a car that's gone backwards. Yuki had a horrendous race. There were some weird pit stops things going on. I agree. I think he went into a bit of discovery mode with this car once the race was over. Ricciardo's result was actually better than it was made to look. See, when he came out of one of his pit stops, he needed to really fast outlap, and he got caught in traffic. A bunch of blue flags came out, and he lost track of the cars in front of him. But he sort of pulled in something from that car, but I tell you what, it's a backward step in a big way from where they were at, isn't it?
Yeah, I really can't put the weekend down for RB as any sort of form of racing. It was a high speed test. It really was. There was nothing that either of them did. I mean, Dan had a couple of nice overtakes, but I mean, outside of that, it was.
Yep.
There's nothing to write home about for either of them.
It's a shock. It is a shock because I tell you what, that team was on such a beautiful roll, and for Yuki Tsunoda to finish second last, qualify them both miss qualifying Q2. It's not what we've come to expect this year.
No,
of
it's
them.
not. But I guess, like I was saying, it was a test. There was nothing to be gained out of the weekend.
So it's But anyway, it'll be a watch.
Talk to me quickly, Williams.
Very. It's like
there is nothing happening.
Well, last race there was fine. It was okay. Albon had a great race. This race gone missing.
In every sense of the word.
Yep.
I found myself glued to James Vows's responses on social media.
Yeah.
And his raps for the weekend.
Yeah.
And it is at the moment a lot of just filling the air with noise.
Yeah.
It's just some Williams fans out there probably think I'm being incredibly harsh, but
usually
the results speak for themselves. They are missing. They are missing. They're not, and I think about Carlos Sainz. He's not an attractive seat to arrive in at all. Happy to be proven wrong. Hope to be proven wrong. But right now there is nothing going on. And that should be alarm bells ringing.
I tend to agree
because there was a lot of promise that things would start to happen, and
probably results have been glorified by Monaco outlier.
Yep.
And I think they got into the points. Alex got into the points in Monaco.
Yep.
But other than that, they've been in struggle town, and so
it's just
the season started poorly.
2 points.
I thought there was some progress being made from that start of the season where they sort of just ventured off into this season without all the spares that was required, and then they went through the whole swapping chassis drama and having to be very cautious in the next few races, which I think probably cost them a little bit of time, just trying to be extra cautious.
Yep.
But it hasn't come good yet.
No,
that's
not
for sure.
At all. Not at all. It was,
All Signs 3, 2, and 1. Thanks to All Signs. Who was your driver of the day?
Who was my driver of the day? 3 to Max.
3 to Max.
3 to Max.
Oh boy, we gave him 3s last week.
We did give him 3s last week. Yep.
Okay.
2 to Gasly, and
I think that's
one to Ocon.
Yeah,
I cannot look past how good Alpine have turned their season around. Like it is immense. It really is.
Yeah,
I'll be going on about this for a while.
I reckon you gave him one last week.
I think I did. They're just
Yeah.
You have to stand up and applaud with what they've done.
Yep.
Because they have saved.
Yep.
Saved their season in a huge way. So, yeah, 3, 2, and 1.
Yeah, it's it's a tricky race to award points for, isn't it?
It is.
Without giving the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've probably listed the obvious.
Okay.
Which is fine. That's okay, you wuss. Oh, man. I just want to give the same.
Do it.
Oh, man.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Now, look, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give 3 to Max because I agree with that. I think he deserves the full points at the moment because things aren't as easy as what they were. He's been made to work for them. Even though Norris made the mistake at the start, and honestly, I think he overcompensated the inside line, which cost him everything.
Yep.
I thought he drove a pretty decent race for the rest of it. It took some time to get through the traffic, but I'm not sure that was on Norris. So 2 to Norris. I think he deserves 2 points.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm definitely happy to give a point to Gasly because fine race. Dud of the day.
Oh, dud of the day.
We need a good sponsor for Dud of the day, don't we?
Do we?
I think so. I think. Yeah. I think Dud of the Day is an important award.
It is a very important award.
I think it needs something.
What kind of sponsor would you like to see for Dud of the Day?
I don't know. It's got to be a strong one, I think.
Yep.
I think it needs to be like a whiskey sponsor.
I thought drink too. Like it needs
or a
to
beer
be
or something like that. It's like, oh man, I've had a day. I've had a dud of a day.
It definitely needs to be some sort of Definitely needs to be some sort of drink.
We need to shop it around.
Yeah.
See if we can get our beers sponsored. Who's your dud of the day?
Look, I'm not big on people bashing.
Oh, I am.
It has to be Danica Patrick.
Oh, whoa! I thought I was the one.
I paid a lot of attention to her comments this weekend, deliberately, because I know you mention her a lot of the time in our episodes and just when we're talking in general.
Tell me, what's your impression? What do you think my impression is of her?
I don't know. I think it's just...
I'm always interested to see how my comments come off because I'll tell you what my impression of her.
Yep.
I really want to like Danica Patrick. I really want to like Danica Patrick because I think there's something there to offer. I don't mind parts that she says, but oh my God, every time she goes into areas that it's just not her expertise. And I know that's sort of her job and it's probably more on Sky Sports, but my God, she bugs me. Anyway.
It's just the... In terms of just racing knowledge, just as a general blanket,
yes,
it's
good.
Pretty all right.
Pretty good. I like the head noise stuff when she talks about mentality.
Yes, and
all those sorts of things. Yep.
But then when it comes to commentating on the specifics and the and the what's going on track in Formula One, the knowledge about the R&D, the knowledge about the drivers and the progress and the way that they're approaching a weekend, it's constantly wrong. And the glaring one that came out this weekend was as she was talking about the way that Ferrari was on rails around Catalunya, as Charles is struggling to not drift sideways.
It was like
slide through every corner.
It was like she needed to fill space.
This is what happened about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I know they're doing well, so I'm just going to say that. And I just felt like you're not paying attention to what is actually happening on track. The others do it really, really well. They'll watch it and then they'll commentate, and then they'll pass judgment on the way that a driver or a chassis or a weekend is unfolding. But it's just that constant throwaway line, and I just think you're mentioning that they are glued to the track and they're on rails while they're half a second off and Charles is sliding and complaining over radio with comments such as "this car is literally undrivable."
Yep.
And it just and I just thought, ugh.
Yep.
It's wrong. I mean, you can get things wrong, that's fine, but it's that constant incorrect judgment and call, and it makes it hard to watch because even just your novice fan would be looking at that going, "Is it really on rails? Is it really? Why aren't they on pole?
Why isn't this showing that?"
Ugh.
I think they rely too heavily on her. And I think it's up to Sky to understand At the moment, Danica has limits
Yep.
because of her short amount of time in the sport.
Yep.
So let's use her for the overall general racing knowledge,
Yep.
understanding about the way that their driver's thinking, and understand the way that the race could be sort of unfolding in terms of. Even that's going to be tricky, but so I think there's a real limitation, and they're in a tricky spot because they want to have females within their commentary teams.
It's not even about that. It
but
wouldn't matter.
Which is why I think they're trying to persist with it, because I'm not sure that many people have taken to Danica and their comments. I mean, I really like Naomi's work. I think that she's probably adding a little bit more. She seems to have a little bit more better general knowledge across the sport. But it's just, I don't know. It's feels like it's forced trying to get that female voice in there. So if you feel like that's what is required, which I'm all for developing these people, let's try and get a better understanding of where her skill set is at.
Yeah.
And hone in on asking more questions around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one for them at the moment.
You're right. Just use her in a sparing way.
Or just direct more questions around what she's willing to offer.
Just an honourable mention to the efforts of a grid walk without Martin Brundle. It's still not working for me.
Do something really different?
Just don't do it.
Oh, as in do something really different. So instead of that time...
Don't bring me the grid walk. Bring me something else.
I would say you set up your panel, even with something to stand behind, and you have a range of guests.
It's just not the same.
You have a range of guests to bring through for that chat rather than...
Bernie as Ted is brilliant.
What's that?
Bernie as Ted.
Yep.
As Ted is brilliant.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
It's just not working.
No. So for me, I think they stand in a panel...
Yep.
And they bring people pre-arranged through. Because the others just don't have that personality to go and put these people on the spot in a way that's entertaining. So you have... You get a range of people that are willing to come and have a quick 1 minute chat, and they come past the panel, and they come to the panel. Oh, here we go. Here is Michael Jordan. Hello, Michael. How are you? I hear you've got this new shoe range coming out. Who are you supporting today? All that sort of stuff. Thanks very much for your time. Michael walks off, and then they talk a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, then you got Jackie Stewart's going to come in. Hello, Jackie. How are you? It's lovely to see you again. Who's your money on this one? So you go through and you get that celebrity uptake, but you're not trying to replicate what Martin's doing. And I think that's the key for them. My dad of the day is McLaren. It seems harsh. Seems harsh. No. Just hear me out. Hear me out. Seems harsh.
The floor is yours.
Seems harsh. I think you agree. However, if you want to be in this title battle, McLaren, 3-second pit stops ain't gonna cut the mustard. And this isn't just a one-off. 2 3-second pit stops for Norris. Piastri was a 3.6 or 3.9. Last race, they made some little critical errors. If you want to be in this title race, that ain't going to cut the mustard. So you're going to have to clean everything else up. It's okay, but it's not good enough to win races. So McLaren, you're getting dud of the day because you need to clean up. Who's doing 3-second pit stops these days? Tristan.
McLaren.
Yeah, they're the only ones, and they're trying to be in this title race. And so it's alarming. Honestly, it's alarming.
No, that's you. Yeah.
And so I think, it's just a little kick that they need, I think. And I'll take responsibility when they improve it this weekend.
Yeah.
F1.5.
F1.5. You floored me with that one. There'll be a lot of people.
I tell you, I'm expecting some differences here.
I'm expecting some fire from Paige after that.
I think Paige agrees. It's more frustration. Really? It's more frustration.
Okay.
F1.5 though.
F1.5.
Yuki Tsunoda result, I feel, is going to be crucial for this year.
Oh boy. All right, bit of a recap from last week. Our leader, our top three look like this. Yuki led the way.
Yep.
Then it was Hulk.
Yep.
Then it was K-Mag.
Yep.
The Haas boys started the year on fire. On fire. Which is just, Mr. Consistency is Yuki. We pumped him up last week with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. 5 wins. But then the last 2 rounds has really dropped off. So a couple of little changes to the leaderboard as we come through this weekend
Really?
for F1.5. Just some tweaks. Some closing of gaps.
Oh, okay.
Some equaling of points and some really, really tight margins. Suddenly, it's becoming a lot closer than what it is.
Talking it
Anyway,
up and let me know the
F1.5. Let's
results.
start from the bottom to top, as I always like to do. 10th, coming through at 10th at the moment, is Logan Sargent. Just another single solitary point. Last 2 rounds have been a total collective points of 2. He is on 38. He is officially out of F1.5 for the year. Not relegating him. I'll still put him in there, but he's not winning from this point onwards.
Okay.
Yeah. So 38 points.
Thanks for the big call. That was important.
That's a poor showing. That's a poor showing
That's
so
a poor
far.
call.
Yep. Someone who is going the other way and sort of lifted their points across the last few weekends is Valtteri. So he's had 16 across the last few weekends, which doesn't sound brilliant, but started with 6, started with 12 across the first 3 rounds. So, so doing quite well. He's really teetering on the edge of joining Sargent. However, he's 59 points. He's 100 points adrift of the leaders. So a lot of work to do. You
can't see Kick Sauber
highly unlikely
being anywhere near the top to pick up all the points required.
So it's highly unlikely. So they're your bottom 2, 38 and 59. Then it's a big jump. It's a real big jump into the next tier. So sitting equal on 85 points is Albon and Zhou.
Oh.
Does that sort of speak volumes about where Zhou's season's at? Or where Albon's season out. Because if you're thinking, compare a driver to Alex Albon right now, the number one man that you're probably not thinking of is Zhou Guanyu.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's where they are comparatively. So 85 points, and that's a big jump from the other 3. So 38 for Sargent, 59 for Valtteri, and then we're straight up into 85. However, as silly as it sounds, a win, and they're kind of thereabouts back in it. Because it's from this point on that the rest of the field are in the hundreds.
Oh.
So it started to get really, really
tight. So those
tight.
boys are on 85, is that right?
They're on 85, and they're a win off joining the century figures. So from there, we've got Dan next on 104, Magnussen on 105. So that is a dropping off. That is a dropping off. K-Mag was as high as 3rd a month ago and was holding on to it, and now is only a point ahead of Dan.
Significant, Haas.
Yeah.
Just hear this, it's significant. You don't need to hold on to it.
Absolutely not. So 104, 105 for Dan and Magnussen, respectively. I'm coming through with an absolute rocket is Gasly on 109.
Wow.
So last 3 rounds, he won last time out. So he's won Spain. So 25, 18 and 15 have been his last 3 rounds. Compare that to his first 3 rounds, 4, 1, 8.
Oh.
Huge. And again, this is a terrific measure of where we are in the
Danning
field.
for Dan.
So on 109, it is. That's because Dan's been quite consistent. Dan's last 4 rounds have been 10, 25, 12 and 12.
Okay.
So that's a good showing there. So really well done to those boys. Ocon is next on 113.
What was Gasly on?
Gasly was on 109.
Okay.
So Ocon
Close.
Ocon is now 3rd on 113 points.
Wow.
113 points.
That is not what I was expecting.
That is incredible.
Considering their season?
That is incredible. This is his season to date. 6, 12, 2, 10, 18, 18, 10, 4, 15, 18.
Wow.
So doing better than I think we give him credit for there. So 113. So Ocon is officially 3rd.
Have we missed that Alpine were better than what we actually thought?
No, I think Alpine have become better than what they were.
Yeah, but there's quite a few good results in there for
There's some okay results, but anyway.
Okay.
But it hasn't been enough. I think it's been overshadowed by the hot start from the Hasses. In second place, by literally 1 point only, is Yuki. So last week led the way. He is 155 points. He is in second, but Hulkenberg is holding on to that lead with dear life. He is 1 point. So it's 156. So at this point in the season, he led 3 rounds ago. He led, and he's been the front runner the whole way, and he is now starting to let that stranglehold on the title is slipping away from him. So he is only a point ahead. And with a little bit of action with Gasly, with Ocon, with Yuki, and those running around them, for all intensive purposes, it looks like he's going to be run down. You would think. But anyway, so that is a hot field, and that is very close, and that is F1.5.
There you go.
This round. Give me a quick prediction. Give me your top 3 by the end of Silverstone.
Oh, by the end. Oh, okay.
Just predict ahead.
End of Silverstone.
By the end of Silverstone, give me your top 3 ahead of Silverstone.
What's Yuki on?
I'll go through.
What's his actual number?
So Yuki's on 155.
155.
Hulk's on 156. K-Mag 105. Dan 104. Ocon 113. And Gasly 109.
Well, it's those two, Hulkenberg and Yuki.
Yep.
Which is the order? I'm going to say Yuki into Hulkenberg.
Okay.
I think Red Bull can find. Oh, sorry, Red Bull. RB can find some speed again.
Yep.
Who's the next one? 113. Oh man, yeah, I'll go Gasly.
Okay.
I think Gasly gets Ocon. What do you?
I'm going to say by the end of Silverstone, Ocon's going to lead.
Oh,
I'm going to go Ocon into Hulk.
it's barely possible.
I know. I think it will though.
But like, he's got to get the wins twice.
Yep.
And the other two can't really score any points.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think it's going to be Ocon's going to lead by the end of Silverstone. I think Hulk's just going to do enough just to hang on. He doesn't need to do a lot with that margin. And I think Yuki will break even with him on third.
You're pretty much banking on Yuki and Hulk to be last.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I just think
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Anyway,
There you
F1.5 for this round.
Now, we need to get into contact with Chris from Dr. Auto
We
Art.
do, because we said that.
I want to know, does he want to be on before his home race or after his home race? I wonder how busy he's going to be.
I wonder.
Now, Chris, if you have been trying to get in contact with me, my socials have changed, so you're going to need to either... I think I've added you on my personal one, on my new one.
Ring him.
No, I don't have those options. But yeah, so yes, let us know. Do you want to be on next week in the lead up to Silverstone or after Silverstone? I'm easy. I'm excited to chat. And I believe we've had an offer from Adam Hughes too.
Oh, yes, we have.
And I think that would be very fun.
That would be fun.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Well, we did sort of,
So,
we're frequently bemused by
and I think it would be fun. I think it'd be a fun episode.
The way that he ranks.
I think I need to wait until Lewis wins a race and then we have him on.
Right.
But no,
maybe
we'll bring him in.
Maybe we'll have him on.
But speaking of Chris from Dr. Auto Art, we need to talk about fantasy because Chris is Dr. Auto Art is the sponsor.
Back into fantasy this week. I'm excited again.
Oh, Debbie Downer last week.
It's been a great week. And again, thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto Art for all of your amazing work for this year's competition. As we know, top 3 finishers, place getters, will take home a terrific piece of Chris's art. Get around his social, Dr. Auto Art, Facebook, Instagram, Redbull. Subscribe to his newsletter. Check out all the terrific things that he does. A lot of NASCAR, a lot of MotoGP things happening as well. You don't necessarily have to be a diehard Formula One fan. You might want to go down the pathway of something else for your prize. But thanks, Chris, for once again being a huge supporter of our show and of our competition and for our fantasy season. All right, where will we start? Let's start with this weekend's overall, and our top runners looked a little bit like this. Andrew Taylor finished the round ahead on 255. One common theme I found across this weekend looking at people's point scoring is a lot of people went the extra trade. So went the 4 trade.
Oh.
So 255 from Andrew. He did the additional transfer as well. And his team is Norris, Hulk, K-Mag, Valtteri, Zhou, McLaren and Red Bull. So that was Andrew's on 255. Jolyon Dyer on 252. Fariz Hafiz and Chloe Anderson tying together on 250 for third, respectively. Roman Merrick on 242. And my good self in sixth overall for the round with 234 points. Jamie Baker in seventh with 233. Lawrence Van der Veer, 229. R. Riedling on 227. And Dean Holt as well on 227. So that's your top 10 for the round in Spain. So it's back with a vengeance this week, which I'm very, 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 very pleased to announce. Where did you find your good self across the race weekend?
I don't know.
I'll have a scroll down. Fill the air for me.
I'm not sure what I've got for you in terms of
38th place you were.
Oh,
173 points.
Oh boy.
All is right in the world again, which is great. And your team looked a little bit like this. Now, I spoke to you last week about hanging on to Alex, and you didn't listen to me. So, 173 for you. You had Science on 16, Dan on 7, Alex 4, Hulkenberg 6, a double for Piastri on 30. That hurts. 44 for Ferrari, and 66 for McLaren. So that's how you finished up your round. Ooh.
Goodness.
Not amazing.
No.
Oh, I've just jumped out of our league. Sorry.
What are you looking for?
Sorry, I've jumped back out of our league.
Wow.
I was looking for my points for the weekend. I was looking for my team for the weekend. I can't find it because I've already made changes to it. Anyway, looking at our top 10 runners at the moment so far, can I say a couple of things I brought in last round? I made a couple of changes. I brought the Alpine boys in. Very happy with that. Dumped both the Hasses. So tick for me.
Wow.
So dumped both the Hasses and brought both the Alpines in. That paid dividends. And I dumped Charles in FP2 and I brought Lando in and put the double on him. So if you had Lando Norris like my good self with a double, you bagged yourself a fancy-looking 102 points for Lando for his weekend. So that was really good. So top 10 looked like this, and our current overall leaderboard, Dean Holt leads the way on 2,391, Chloe Anderson 2,331, Andrew Taylor 2,324, Fariz 2,226, Roman Merrick 2,236, Laws Vandervee on 2,227, David Rojas 2,219, Jolien Dyer 2,217, R. Riedling 2,093, and Adam Hughes 2,066. And I am just sitting outside of that in 11th place. I'm about 12 points off Adam overall. And you will find your good self down in 19th place overall with 1,799. What are you doing this round? It's a sprint weekend. What are you doing for your fantasy this weekend? Are you making changes? Are you playing a chip? What are you thinking?
I'm playing a chip.
What chip are you playing?
I'm just looking at what they are.
Okay.
Unlimited transfers allowed. I don't think I'll go on that one.
Yep.
What's the one that you just get the best team possible?
I've played that this week. So
What is it?
I'm playing Limitless. Limitless.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a little,
that's
it's a little
right.
blue infinity sign.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that says unlimited transfers.
Unlimited
allowed
transferred, unlimited cost
with
cap.
no cost cap.
This is my team
Does that
heading
mean
into
I
the
have
round.
to do these?
You need to be doing this. You need to be
God,
doing
I
this.
can't be bothered
You
with
need
that.
to do it literally right now because you'll forget.
No, but then I'm going to have to change throughout the weekend.
So this is what I've done. So I pulled the trigger on this Monday night knowing it was a sprint, which means you get there's no cash limit.
Okay.
You can have everyone and anyone for this round, and
Right.
then it will reset back to your team, and you can change this as many
Right.
times as you like.
Oh, I see.
So this is my current team now that I've activated the Limitless.
That sounds pretty good.
Verstappen, Norris, Piastri, Russell, Hamilton, McLaren, Red Bull. That's my team. So you can have that. You can inject the Ferraris if you want to inject the Ferraris. You can have anyone you want. You have got an unlimited amount of money right up until qualifying. You can change it as many times as you like. And then at the end of Austria, your team prior to this will come back to you. So
who'd you take? You took Carlo. Who'd you take? You took Verstappen, Oscar.
I just took the top.
Norris.
I just took the top 5 and the two leading contender.
So you're not taking the Mercedes?
No, I'm not taking the Mercedes. I think I'm going to just...
Any of the Mercedes drivers?
I've got both the Mercedes drivers.
Right.
But
not the Ferrari drivers?
No, I haven't got Ferrari. But I put McLaren and I put the Red Bull in there too, because if Max puts it on pole and Max wins, probably going to get fastest pit stop as well. It's a sprint. So
I'm not convinced the Mercedes yet, so I'm going to go the Ferrari drivers.
Okay, that's fair. I could change it last minute. I mean, I get to the end of FP2 or FP3 and make a change. But yeah, I'm thinking that I've got to decide if I'm going to bring Ferrari or Mercedes in next round.
You got Red Bull or McLaren?
I went both, Red Bull and McLaren.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And then I went Max and double on Max, Lando, Oscar, George and Lewis.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't trust Ferrari enough at the moment.
No.
I have a little bit more trust in Mercedes,
See,
but it's not a lot.
I don't trust Mercedes.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
So we'll see. Last sector, Lewis was good in the last sector, and that's going to lend itself very nicely to Austria.
How do I add... This is not good podcasting.
No, just mumbling to yourself.
How do I make someone the the double points winner?
You choose
person.
them. You
It
choose
doesn't
them.
let me.
You choose them.
Okay.
Save your team and then choose them.
All right. I'll have to go and find how
Anyway,
to make that happen.
There you
Very
go.
good.
That's fantasy for this round.
There you go.
It's nice to be back.
Tell me any news.
Any news? Silverstone have pointed the finger at Red Bull and saying that their constant domination is turning fans away and they find it incredibly difficult to sell out the circuit as they have done in previous years. What are your thoughts on that?
Australia don't have too many problems. Lots of other places around the world don't seem to have too many problems. Look.
Wasn't a problem when Mercedes were dominating every single year, was it? Like, it was okay for them to dominate.
But Lewis was involved in that. I think what they're getting at is, without the Lewis factor just dominating things, it's a little bit more challenging for them. I think it's probably just in response to some questions. Have you sold out yet? No. You used to sell out. What's the problem? And they said, oh, look, it's probably just that domination. I don't think there's too much in it. I don't think it wasn't a headline. It wasn't them coming out. I think it was just some questions around it.
I think it's the exorbitant ticket prices, as Max alluded to as well, which is turning fans away. And that's sort of the general question that I'm sort of starting to ask. So a 3-day weekend, general admission, all right? So this is just your general admission. You turn up, you stand, you do whatever you want, right? So it says, I'm on the Silverstone website because I want to talk a bit of context to this with you, yeah?
Yep.
So you watch all the race action and enjoy live concerts each evening, headlined by Stormzy, Pete Tong, the Heritage Orchestra and Rudimental. Some good bands in there. 50% discount for kids under 11, free for kids 2 and under, but a ticket is still required. So that is just a general admission ticket. How much would you expect to pay for that if you are going to the Silverstone?
How many days was that?
How many days is that for? It's a good question. It is a 3-day weekend general admission.
Okay, 3-day general admission.
So let's say you're taking yourself and you're taking the kids. So it's going to cost you 50% discount for kids under 11.
Yeah.
All right. So
let's just go with an adult ticket for 3 days.
All right. I'm gonna buy this as we go. I'm going to buy this as we go. One adult. Are you taking both your children?
No, let's just keep it simple.
So it's just
one
you.
person.
It's just you. You're going by yourself. You're in the UK.
How much does it cost?
How much does it cost?
What's a reasonable amount for 4 days? I'm going to say $400, which that must be up near £700 or something, maybe.
Yeah, it's actually going to cost you $663 to go for 3 days. No, that's 663 Australian dollars.
Okay.
For 3 days of just general admission. General admission.
That's it's about right.
That's stupid.
How much is Australia?
You will pay Friday in Australia.
No.
Just general admission?
3 days. What's 3 days?
3 day. I'll have a look at general admission for.
It's not on sale yet, so you won't be able to find it.
No, I'll be able to find it there. I know that tickets. So I know it's just that's ridiculous. These absolutely.
I think it's
ridiculous.
I think it's 120 a day in Australia.
I reckon.
And then the early days are a bit cheaper. So
you can turn up Thursday in Australia for $49 for general admission.
Yeah.
You can turn up Friday for $79.
Yep. No, I agree. That's expensive.
You can turn up on Saturday. I think it's $129.
Yep.
And I think Sunday will cost you around about.
Is it now close to 150 or something?
It's about 150. It's not a lot. So you can package that, and that's 4 days. That's an additional day.
Yep.
Like Friday. That's a bargain, and that's just general admission. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree. No,
and if
you're
you're
right.
going to take your kids there, that's half for the kids. So if you decide that you're going to take yourself and you're going to take your partner as well, that's over $1,000. You're going to take both of your kids. There's another $300. You're looking at $2,000. To give you comparison to that here in Australia, you could buy a paddock pass for $2,000. You could buy the best grandstand that money can buy for something like that. There's VIP energy stations. So that kind of stuff is absolutely ridiculous. If you're looking at a reserved grandstand for the Hamilton Straight, it's going to cost you £839 just for the main straight. £839.
Whoa. Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
All right.
That's $1,500.
Yeah. Good point, Max.
Yeah. Fabulous point, mate. And this is sort of, I put this out on the social too. That is out of reach of the everyday fan. MotoGP, I saw a really great post from motorsport.com over the weekend. MotoGP will cost you a fifth of that.
You're making me angry.
3 days.
The more you talk, you make me angry.
It is. It frustrates me. It frustrates me. The everyday punter who is a diehard Formula One fan, right, and not saying should have access. Everyone should have access. If you are only going to allow me, and I say only because sometimes general admission years have been some of the best years.
Oh,
I've been to.
absolutely.
If you're going to let me come into the Grand Prix and I'm allowed to walk the park and go and stand wherever I feel like, I am not giving you within arm's reach of $1,000 to do that. If you're not going to give me a seat, if you're not going to guarantee me a location, I have to find that myself, and I'm just freely walking around and browsing it, then no, I'm not paying that much. If you're going to give me a seat for 3 days, yeah, I'll consider giving you that for a grandstand. Or you're going to let me, like we do here in Australia, you can have a 4-day grandstand pass where every single day you get a different grandstand across the weekend. Yeah, I'll definitely shell out $1,500 for that. No worries at all. I'll probably give you $1,000 for that. But if you're just going to say you can come into the gate and go and wander around yourself for a couple of days, that's no. It does. It makes me angry. That is not what Formula One's about. Yes, let your high rollers pay that kind of money to sit up in their booths and to sit on top of the pit lane like we do here, have your luxury lunches and dinners and sit to the sidelines. But if you're just on your camping chair on the hill watching, no way. No way. It's out of touch and it's unrealistic. And I feel for British fans. So Silverstone, if you're wondering why people aren't coming, then before you start pointing the finger at a team that is in a sport and doing exactly what they're paid to do, which is win, I'd be looking at myself first before I do that.
It's a good call. It's the best call you've had in a long time.
Thank you.
I like seeing you're passionate about this.
I'm passionate about this. I'm passionate about because
it angers me.
We're everyday fans, and that's what we need.
And it's about that experience.
It is. It's all about the experience too. Oh, anyway.
Yeah, good call. Well
anyway, another bit of news. You got another bit of news?
No, I've got nothing.
No, I got lots of news. I've got lots of news this week. Max Verstappen is heading to the Goodwood Festival of Speed for the very first time.
Well, there you go.
And, oh man, what a lineup we have in store. Have you seen examples of the lineup for Goodwood?
Not really, no.
We've got Christian Clean in the RB1,
okay,
which is awesome. We've got David Coulthard's going to be there. Mark Webber's going to be there.
Oh, I did see this lineup.
Dan's going to be there.
I just assume this is all the
going to be there.
Years of people turning up.
No,
these are all RBs.
This is the lineup. This is the lineup.
I didn't read it properly, and I was just like, oh yeah, okay.
This
looks
is
like
the
they've had
lineup.
it. Yeah, okay.
It is phenomenal. So Webber's going to be there. Ricciardo's going to be there. Max is going to be there. Checo's going to be there. Horner's going to drive. I think he's going to drive the RB9 off the top of my head. Christian Clean's going to drive the RB1, the very first.
So it's going to be a bit of an RB show.
It is going to be David Coulthard is going to be there driving. I think he's driving the 12 off the top of my head.
Yep.
You know who needs to be there? Seb needs to be there.
He does.
Seb needs to be there. Where is Seb?
He'd want them to run on honeybees, wouldn't he?
He would, and we'd all love him for it. So anyway, looking like a massive turnout for Goodwood with that. That is a high caliber set of drivers that are all going to be there driving examples of the RB.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
That'd be really good. And as silly as it sounds, you know what I'm looking forward to the most? I'm actually looking forward to Christian Clean in the RB1 more than anything.
Why?
Just because we haven't seen it for so long, and it's just where it all started.
Okay.
And to have him in it too, I think is really nice. Like, it's a little bit of a nod to the past. That you could throw Max in the RB1, and that's fun. But to have him in that as one of the very first drivers, and to be in one of the very first chassis, I just think that's really, really, like, it's really well done. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see that as well.
Yep. Very good. Anything else?
Last one I just wanted to touch on.
Go on.
Is just the FIA have abandoned the spray covers.
Didn't we talk about this last week?
Did we talk about it temporarily?
I think we talked this last week.
I saw it across the weekend.
They keep on going, we've abandoned it. Yep. Until the next idea we get.
But it looks it looks officially abandoned now from what I read
Those
yesterday. Those ones are.
Yeah.
So back to the
drawing board.
Back to the drawing board. So yes, anyway, a little bit of news around that too as well. And I did see that maybe Aston were ramping up their chase for Adrian Newey as well. But to be confirmed.
Yeah, I think we'll have him placed everywhere.
I think we'll have him placed everywhere
before we know.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which is always fun. Anyway, very good. Keep your ears out. Should we just add Fan Frenzy to this episode? Is it adding extra? Because we've only got a couple of days until the race.
No.
Oh, okay, we're going to stick with it. All right, we might release these.
I'm a creature of habit.
These very close
Very
together.
close together.
All right, very good. Until then, enjoy. Oh, prediction for Austria.
Max,
Yes.
Lewis,
Whoa.
Lando.
Jeez, you've bought into this you've bought right into this Mercedes, haven't you?
bought into it and I want to
You
buy
told
into
me
it.
you
It's
weren't,
just-
and
no,
then
it's just-
as the episode's gone on,
I know I'm thinking with my head here, the characteristics match Austria. So
you've really, as the episode's gone, you've bought in more and more.
Another double points finish to Alpine.
Okay.
I'm going to throw it out there on the table.
Okay, yeah, look, I'm with you on Max. You can't go past Norris at the moment. And I think the Ferraris have got something to offer here, so I'm going to go Leclerc.
I think
he drives
I think
well.
they'll be more suited to Silverstone, but yes.
Yes,
anyway.
no, I agree, but I think they're going to come alive. All right, yeah, we'll talk to everyone after it. We'll endeavour to get it out earlier because of all the racing going on, and we're on holidays next week. You beauty, and keep your ears peeled for Fan Frenzy. Goodbye now.